being recorded. Tonight, we're very happy to have with us Christine Brae and In This Life. But to give her a wonderful introduction, I'm very sure, is her friend and colleague. Please welcome Magda.
Hi, thank you, Steve. We're little, so I have to adjust the microphone. I'm just wondering if mom and son can come a little closer since we're such a big community here. We want to get everyone really nice and close. My name is Magda, like Steve said, and I'm making this introduction for my friend and brilliant author, Christine Brae. The reason I'm making this introduction is not because I have anything to do with the book, but because I do have something to do with humans. And it takes an enormous amount of courage to write a book and to put yourself out there at risk. And to talk about it takes even more courage. The number one fear in America is public speaking, and she is doing that. Thank you, Mom, for being in the front row. It makes me happy. It makes me want to smile and show my teeth. Aw, this is great. Thanks, Mom, for doing that for your son. Christine Brae has written 4 books: The Light in the Wound, His Wounded Light, Insipid, and In This Life, which I hear has made people cry in traffic. Is that right? Yeah, that's great. In This Life is kind of cool because only in this life could my meeting with Christine Brae occur. This life is just so cool. It was serendipitous, wasn't it, Christine? So without any further jibber jabber, I want to introduce you to my friend and brilliant human being, Christine Brae.
Thanks, Magda. And hi, Miami. I don't really have a format for what I'm going to be talking about tonight. I don't really do that kind of thing. I write fiction, I write romance. So, but I wanted to introduce myself. So my name is Christine Brae, and I'm the author of the latest book, In This Life. I've also written 4 books. I am a romance author, and it's mostly classified as women's fiction and literary fiction. And every book that I've written is a journey that I've gone through in my life. So I have a full-time job. I have a very demanding career in the advertising industry, and I'm a senior executive in an advertising firm. And so writing is my outlet. I do it on the train, on the plane, everywhere I go, everywhere I get a chance to. And I've published 4 books, and I'm very proud to present those books, especially In This Life today. So I started writing about 2.5 years ago when I went through something tragic in my life 5 years ago, and I just had so much to say about it. And so the first book that I wrote, The Light in the Wound, was more or less my life. And in writing about my life, I realized that I had 2 great loves in my life, just 2. And I wanted to let people know that it was such a big influence in my life. It made me who I am today. And little did I know that that book would get such a following, and people were reaching out to me, women especially, would say, we've gone through this exact same thing. We have the same experiences. We feel the same pain. We love more than one. We love one. And it really inspired me to be able to let people know, especially women of any age, that they're not alone. And so I kept writing. I did the second book. Third book came out. And this 4th book is something that really is very meaningful for me, because it is kind of the last step in the journey that I've taken in the past 2 years. I write about strong women because I have a career and I have children and I have a family. I write about flawed women, women who are trying to find themselves, who are, doesn't matter what age you are, you find out that you're really not the person that you thought you were. I write about women who've been married so many years only to wake up one day and say, hey, is this the life that I want? Or is this the life that I meant to have? So, and I think that resonates a lot in this field, at least in the field of romance. I write about realistic characters. So In This Life is actually the book that took me a long time to write. Those first three books were just really fast for me. It was because it was just kind of a momentum. I wrote the first book, the second book, but In This Life actually took 18 months for me to write, which isn't really long in writer years, but for someone like me who just cranks these books out, it was a pretty intense process. And the good news is that it's really garnered a lot of interest, so much so that it's been optioned for film and TV. So that's the great news that I have. But and it was very coincidental. So this book is actually about serendipity and fate and unexpected events and moments. And I think that everything in my life has been just that. You know, people come into your life for a reason. They leave, they stay, whatever it is, it happens. And I kind of wanted to walk you through what the book is about. So the book is about a young girl named Anna who is on a medical mission in Thailand. And she meets a guy named Jude. And they have something for 10 days. And that's all they need to do is have something for 10 days. And then she goes back to New York and can't stop thinking about him. And I thought, the book got a little bit of criticism about that, instant love, falling in love, and then you meet a guy for 10 days and you can't stop thinking about him 5 years from now. But I can tell you it happens. And so it's about her life and how she grows up. She has a few tragedies in her life and a few experiences that help her to grow as a woman and as a person. And little by little, her life comes together, and obviously she runs into this guy again, and they go through confusion, different experiences. And when I first started writing this book, I wanted to write about one thing, and that was impossible love. Because, there's so many books out there about meeting people and finding people at a late stage in your life, or, early in your life, and finding out they're not the person. And I wanted to write about how impossible, there's some forms of impossible love, and how the universe just comes together and fate comes together to kind of make it all work out in the end. There's always a reason for something that you go through. And so Anna, Jude comes back into her life, and there's this back and forth, push and pull between them, and they have to make choices. And the books that I write about choices that people make, that stays with them and that makes them who they are, who they end up becoming. I took a big risk within this life because there is a spiritual factor to it. I write for myself, and that's probably one thing that I want to say to everybody, and that people know about me, is that I write for myself. So I'm the type of person, when I first got my agent, when my agent actually reached out to me, she asked me, how much are your sales? And, what do your sales look like? And I said, I don't even look. I write for myself. I have words to say. I put them together,